First, though, it was her dream job and the opportunity of a lifetime as Shila Iqbal landed herself a permanent role on Emmerdale playing Aisha Richards.
But earlier this month, her world came crashing down after a series of offensive tweets she published 6 years ago resurfaced. Joining us to tell us more is Shila now. And thank you for coming in today. So the role on Emmerdale, you sort of had a part and you didn't think it was going to be a permanent part, but it all seemed to be going very well. People seemed to warm to the character. And it was on the 16th of October 2018 that you were informed that this role would become more permanent. So life was looking good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was completely unexpected when I got that call from my agent to say they want you back as a regular, and I couldn't believe it. I was so happy.
And at the time, so when this all broke, you've been out, you've got a new feature film which you were in, and you've been doing all the promotion for the feature film.
Yeah.
And then you're back to work after that promotion period. When did you realise, when were you told something was wrong?
Yeah, so it was actually the first day I'd gone back. I'd been off, like you said, for about a few weeks, and I'd gone into work. And I got pulled in by the producers and shown some tweets that I'd sent 6 or 7 years ago. And I was shocked. I was shocked to see that I'd wrote those words.
Do you remember sending those tweets?
I do now, obviously looking at them, but I didn't think that was me because I don't use those words anymore. And then half an hour later, I got called back and got told that they won't be renewing my contract.
I mean, you'd gone down to the studio floor, hadn't you, thinking that you were going to continue the day's filming?
Yeah.
And then you're called back up
to go
again.
for a take, but just right before we were about to go for a take.
And when you saw those tweets written down in front of you, you said that everything just went in slow motion.
Yeah. I just felt like I was dreaming. Like I said, those words, I do not condone the use of those words, and they're not in my vocabulary anymore, and I wouldn't dream of using them anymore. So for them to be right there in front of me, I couldn't believe it, and I couldn't believe what was happening. Of course, I knew it was completely wrong of me to do so.
We're not going to say what you said. One of the words, actually, we're not allowed to use. But they were described as racist and homophobic. And so, when you wrote those, was it OK in your head to say those words?
I think at the time, there was no malicious intent behind the tweets. It was a conversation, banter in a way, between my friends, my group of friends. It was heavily influenced by the music, the hip-hop and rap music that we listened to and our surroundings, and that did help determine the language we did use. We did use it freely, although wrongly, very wrongly. I don't think I understood the true meanings behind them and the implications and the hurt that those words
Is it
caused.
fair that an 17, 18, 19-year-old teenager, this is 2012, should be judged now on what they said then?
To be honest, I think if the person has changed and shown remorse and your attitudes have changed, then no, you shouldn't be judged on that. You should be judged as the person you are today.
So I guess the only thing that you can do now in order to move on from this is to learn from it yourself, but also help others to see how dangerous the effects of what they write. You may be a child, you may be a teenager, but you have responsibility for what you put out there. It stays with you forever.
Yes, definitely. I know I have made a terrible mistake, but I want to use my negative situation to bring about positives from it and help raise awareness, especially to the younger generation, to know that the words we use and how we use them have a huge impact on other people. And I think we need to take a moral responsibility and use language appropriately and think about our actions.
Well, when you're a teenager, or before that, I mean, you're pretty invincible. You know, you think, the world is your oyster, say what you like, and you're pretty damn cool. And the problem is, as has turned out to you, is that then you find your dream job and you pursue your career and you're in a movie and you're in a top soap and you've been recast permanently, and something like that comes back to haunt you. And so, as a cocky teenager, you could have had no idea that they were eventually going to ruin your career.
Yeah. I think it's all just been so surreal. Obviously at that time I didn't realise what I was doing. I was unaware, like I said, of the implications and the meanings behind the words. But now I've grown and I've matured, I've become educated 6-7 years later, and I'm now a professional actor, and I wasn't at that time. I didn't have the responsibilities that I do, and I know now that young people will look up to me and what I say can influence them, and I think that's very important. And I do own up to the fact that I used inappropriate language, but I don't do that anymore, and I don't speak like that anymore.
And what about you? You said then you're a professional actor, which you are, but we're currently a professional actor without a job.
Yeah.
So what happens to you now?
I think only time will tell. Of course, this is a blow. I was at such a high point in my life and it all came crashing down for me. But I will move on from this. I'm hoping to remain positive, and that's all I can do, and not dwell on it.
Do you think you've been treated fairly?
I honestly think it's a tricky one. I think ITV have a moral obligation to do what's right by the public, and I respect their decision. The fact that they've taken a stand, and we don't tolerate that language in society, and that's what, the message that we're sending out, that we shouldn't tolerate this language. But I do question, is it fair that I'm being judged on something I did as a teenager? And if we do look at the context and the intentions, there was no negative intention behind there. I wasn't hurling abuse at anyone.
You made a mistake.
I made a mistake, definitely, and that's not who I am.
Okay.
Well, I hope that you can pick up your career from this. There's no question you are suffering massively, finding it hard to get out of the house and get on with life, and you've certainly suffered a lot. So I hope that eventually, this quiets down a little bit. Everyone's learnt their lesson, and that you can get back to work somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So much.